3 or 4 days removed from the Cowboys' loss against the Philadelphia Eagles. And after watching Sunday football, gonna watch Monday Night Football tonight. Hopefully this video comes out on Monday. If not, it'll be early Tuesday morning. But I wasn't expecting to make this video. I was doing some other work, and I came across some really interesting stats for the Cowboys' defensive line, and this just their defense as a whole in that Philly game. And I feel like we still got a couple of days to talk about that loss to Philly and what it means for the season moving forward. You know, before we get to the New York Giants and that absolute disaster that's going on in New York, I wanted to talk about the defensive line, what the addition of Kenny Clark means for this unit, and what it potentially means for the rest of the season. So let's not waste any more time and get into it. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to make this video, so I'm just kind of winging it with a couple of stats that I found really, really interesting. But first, I wanted to talk about Brian Schottenheimer, just how much better this team looked, how much more disciplined, ready, their ability to adjust later in the game. How many times have we seen the Cowboys come out and just not be able to get going on either side of the ball? Now, I know that the Eagles did some really good things early on. They had a couple big runs. Hurts was dumping it down underneath. They couldn't really stop anything, but that's not the main part with the defense. The offense was able to keep them in the game, and then by the time the defense came around, the offense was having their own issues, but it kept you in the game. It gave you, I would say, 4 or 5 different opportunities to win. Now, I know Schottenheimer is the offensive coordinator, play caller, head coach, but he still has stuff to do with how his guys are able to adjust, how the defensive coordinator is doing things, what he's seeing, because he's watching both sides of the ball, right? Like, he's not just calling plays and then going over there and sitting with Dak. So that's what I was really impressed with from the entire coaching staff, with Schottenheimer and Matt Eberflus, their ability to adjust. What they started doing later on in the game was starting to send some corner blitzes, sending some extra guys after Hurts, making him speed up his internal clock. And then you saw them start having some success against the Eagles' offense. Not as much underneath, killing the linebackers that are playing zone coverage, but also later in the game, I feel like the run defense got better. Now, maybe that's just a product of week 1. You know, you're halfway through a game, and then finally you start putting the pieces together. What I didn't know was the defense allowed just 6 rushing yards on 13 carries against the Eagles. How many times have we seen Dallas lose that game against any team, but how many times have we seen them lose because they can't stop the run late in the game, and then the offense never gets a chance to get the ball back? The offense had multiple chances. Now, I don't blame Schottenheimer for that. He can't catch the ball himself. The Cowboys got the ball back consistently late in the game because of their ability to stop the run, and then Eberflus to dial up some pressure and make Hurts make mistakes that he hadn't made before that. So to allow 6 rushing yards on 13 carries, that's all you could really hope for, especially what we've seen that unit give up in the past. Usually teams get worse with the run. If you're not good to start the game, you get more worn down, you're chasing guys all over the field. Run defense typically gets worse. And I just made a video on Kenny Clark and his effectiveness. The Cowboys registered 12 run stuffs against Philadelphia, with Clark registering 2 of those, along with Solomon Thomas, who also played really well, and Sam Williams each having 2 as well. But I went back and watched a couple of the run stuffs, and Kenny Clark was fantastic. His ability to knife through the line, get into the backfield, disrupt blocks, not let guys double team, and take him out of the play, keeping everything congested in the middle of the defense so you can let other guys get there, rally, and make the tackle. Now, I knew that adding a good defensive tackle was definitely going to help this unit, but seeing it on film, seeing it on the All-22, and realizing that the Cowboys defense allowed just 2.8 yards per carry with Clark on the field. And without Clark on the field, the Cowboys defense gave up 6.6 yards per carry. So the guy that you brought in just a week before the season opener, he more than halved the Eagles' effectiveness on the ground. 6.6 down to 2.8. That is astronomically different. 6.6 yards a carry means a team's going to pick up a first down every other time they run the ball. 2.8 means they're going to be facing third downs. That just cannot be understated how much of a difference that makes for your defense as a whole. The same running back that gashed Dallas last year and pretty much gashed the entire league, had 18 carries for 60 yards, 3.3 yards per carry. If you take away his longest carry that happened really early in the game, maybe the Eagles' first or second drive of 16 yards, he averaged like 2.3 yards per carry on the night. It was that outside toss that guys kind of struggled and he kind of wiggled his way up, but you didn't let Saquon Barkley beat you. Now, there's some things that the Dallas defense could do much different with Jalen Hurts and containing a running quarterback. They're going to have to figure that out when they play a guy that can move around, get outside the pocket, and beat you with their legs. Overall, I was super impressed with the defense. Really quick, guys, before we continue, I wanted to tell you about today's video sponsor, Sleeper, the best daily fantasy sports app on the market. And this week on Thursday Night Football, I am taking Deebo Samuel more than 46.5 receiving yards. That's a multiplier boost, which means it ups your earnings. I think Deebo's going to have a pretty big game because the Packers are going to shut down the Washington Commanders elsewhere, so Deebo's going to have a big game. And then Jordan Love comes out and throws 1.5 passing touchdowns against that pretty weak Commanders secondary. So if you guys want to check out Sleeper, all you have to do is sign up with code DoubleMove and you get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Then get in there, choose more or less than on a couple of players, and you're done. So a 100% deposit match up to $100 on Sleeper with code DoubleMove. Now let's get back into it. And that's not even mentioning how much of a stink that everybody's made about Micah Parsons not being on this team anymore. Let me say, I am tired of hearing about Micah, but that doesn't mean I don't like Micah. I think that the Cowboys can have their success with their young defensive ends that we're going to talk about in a minute, and then Micah can have his own successes in Green Bay. But when they play each other, I want the Cowboys to have more success. I'm just really tired of hearing about it, especially when you consider that Dallas was second in the NFL, and I know Monday Night Football hasn't been played yet, in pressuring the quarterback. Believe the Steelers were first with 44% and the Cowboys with 42% pressure. Now, it didn't look like that because every time Hurts would feel pressure, he'd move outside the pocket and kind of run away from guys, but they were getting there. We talked about it with Marshawn Kneeland, walking Lane Johnson back. Kneeland ended up having a sack. So did Kenny Clark. I think they got half a sack each. Dante Fowler had a couple good reps. James Houston was getting after the quarterback. It was just once Hurts did feel that pressure, him moving out of the pocket, you couldn't do much with him running the football. I would like to introduce a quarterback spy to Matt Eberflus's defense, but in the future, with the running quarterback, hopefully the next time they play Hurts, they can get that figured out. But I was really impressed with what the edges were going to do, and I tweeted about it earlier today when I was watching the film, and I gotta say, I know everyone's making a big thing about Micah being gone. It was a huge trade. Happy for the Packers. Good game on Sunday. But Dallas has some serious talent across their defensive line, particularly at edge. Donovan Ezaraku got better as the game went on. He was playing his very first NFL snaps as a rookie. He led college football last year in sacks with 16.5. It's going to take him a little bit of time, but I think even with Sam Williams, he's still young. I know he's in his fourth year, missed the entire third year of his career with an ACL, was kind of stuck behind some guys in years 1 and 2. He's just now getting legitimate, consistent reps in the league. Marshawn Kneeland missed half of last year with an injury. He's halfway through his rookie season as far as snaps go. I mean, really, the only proven guy that has multiple years under his belt and is considered a veteran is Dante Fowler. So I think this group, Marshawn Kneeland's power, Sam Williams' just crazy athletic ability, James Houston, still being a young player himself, and then Donovan Ezaraku, I think that the defensive line is going to be good, not great, to start the year. The first half of the season up to week 10 or 11, but I think after that is when you're going to see guys starting to hit their stride. And I'm really excited about that because of the potential. They've spent so much draft capital on that position that if some of these guys start hitting and becoming what you think they can, it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to be able to get after the quarterback. You have a guy in Kneeland that I think is an excellent run stopper. Kenny Clark on the interior, Osa Odigizua, Sam Williams figures it out. I'm just really excited about that group. So I wanted to hop on here and talk about it. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. I was just like, I need to talk about the defensive line. I think everyone's just making such a big deal about Micah not being here that they're kind of missing, especially national media. They're kind of missing what Dallas could potentially be at edge. They're like, oh, Micah's gone. Like, they're completely SOL. Ton of second round picks on there. Fowler's making $8 million this year, had 10.5 sacks last year. You have a rookie there that you spent a second round pick on. Like, I can't wait for that group to start figuring it out, guys to just literally get reps, and then you see them start to shine. So I was really impressed. Hopefully the run defense can stay as steady as it did. If you can shut down a guy like Saquon, especially later in the game, and not let teams just run you over at the end of games, it gives the ball back to your offense, and we're not seeing what we have for the past decade with Dallas. The defense can hopefully get the ball back. And really quick, I want to see Maris Leofau play more snaps than he did. He played 6 in week 1. You got to get that guy more snaps. Kenneth Murray, Damone Clark, Jack Sanborn, they just weren't good enough. That's something else that should improve your run defense. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for listening to me ramble. We're going to break down Cowboys Giants sometime this week, so be on the lookout for that. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I love you all, and I'll see you very, very soon.